All right, Coach, you just kind of talk about what it's been like in the days kind of after such a euphoric win.
Business as usual. Got to move on to the next thing. Came in and had our typical Monday practice yesterday. A lot of shots, film, that sort of thing. So today we'll get up and down a little bit more and start preparing for UCLA. But last weekend's behind us.
As far as film, given that you're coming off 2 wins, did you want to highlight those to continue, the good things to continue to build confidence, or was it more here's where we could have kind of pulled away and
well, our fear is how we handle success, and I know we had some home games where we won Thursday and then we bounced back and didn't play as well Saturday. So we obviously showed them some of the good things, but we also needed to clear some things up, ball screen coverages, ball pressure, and our big thing was in that Washington game. It was great that we won it, but it shouldn't have come down to, the last second. We should have put them away, knowing that we're playing them again, in a couple of weeks. So kind of set the tone both ways there, and then again, now today we're on to the next thing.
Has Stevie, do you think, been freed up a little bit by playing more off the ball, these past couple of games? Is that been a factor?
He's probably just maybe a little bit more comfortable, or it's the different, defenses that we're seeing. But, there are times that we put it in Ethan's hands, but he's still really doing the bulk of the ball handling for us.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about Ronnie getting some clutch minutes late and just kind of the effort that he put through against Washington?
Yeah, it was big. We were looking to find anybody on our team that could stop the ball, keep the ball from getting into the paint. And we went to Ronnie in the second half, and he did a great job. He really turned things around because their point guard was getting in, making baskets or dropping it off to the bigs, and we made a couple of adjustments of who was guarding who. Jen and Jalen Noel, was getting by us, but thought his defense was huge, and then Ethan's in the overtime. He really stepped things up and did a great job on Noel. So credit both of those guys for the job they did there down the stretch.
And then offensively, what kind of worked well for you guys this weekend? Is it kind of
we made baskets. Simple as that. We didn't say that when we were losing those close games. If we made more shots, it'd be different. We didn't want to put that, but that's what it came down to. We made some threes. We really attacked their zone, got to the rim. We were very aggressive, especially in the second half. We kind of got on some guys and got after Trace a little bit in the second half about getting that thing and playing with purpose, attacking the basket, and they responded. So it was really neat to see that.
You've been getting some big minutes from Alfred lately. Is he finally just comfortable in himself or in the zone? Or?
I think he's comfortable with what we're running and comfortable with finally understanding what we expect from him. And it's not just come game time; it's his habits, and all freshmen go through. They're not ready for the level of intensity that it takes day in and day out in order to be a consistent contributor. And he's done a really good job of, fighting through some of those things and, kind of that freshman lull. And we're going to need him to continue to play with that intensity and focus because he's shown that when he's dialed in, he can really give us a punch on both ends.
Wayne, who are some of those players on your teams over the years who have kind of been those clutch guys, not afraid to take those late game shots?
Are you asking who or?
Yeah.
We've had different go-to guys. Point guards, wings, bigs. We could have we could have put Trace in a pick and roll. He's hit a lot of game winners, and it was really kind of a broken play. We were trying to run a pick and roll with Drew, attack the middle of the zone, and having Trace step into the high post. And Stevie, made the decision to go away from it. You always want to get something going to the basket in those situations, and that's what we were trying to do. They couldn't stop us in the middle of the zone, and we figured we either get to the rim, get fouled, or have a drop off. But he just made a great individual play, taking them. I think they kind of collapsed the defense when he went away from the ball screen, and he stepped back out to three and made the shot. But we've had a lot of guys, in our programs over the years that we feel confident making those plays, and they could be on the perimeter or like I said, in the post. And he was the one that made the play at the end of regulation. It just went in and out. We almost got the tip in, and then it was neat after missing the free throws that he was the one that made the big shot there at the end.
And what separates those guys that aren't afraid to take and make those shots?
Well, what we always talk about is you've got to be tough enough to take those shots, and then humble when you make them, but then also to take the criticism, if it's not a great look or the best decision. And the guys that have the confidence to do that, I think, are the ones that separate themselves. And these guys are all come to us, then they're by and large the best player on their high school teams. The big thing is now, trying to get them to meld with a bunch of other guys in their same position and get them to, not in their same position, but coming from the same position, to believe and buy in and share that thing. And when you get a team that, you can trust every one of the 5 guys out there to take and make that shot, that's when you can really start to build things.
You spoke Thursday about Ronnie and with Xavier letting him go in at the end of the game, and Stevie talked about Drew after Stevie missed the free throws, kind of, putting his arm around him. Is that a chemistry thing that you feel like, or a maturity thing that is developing recently?
Probably, yeah, more of a chemistry thing that we've seen improve here of late. You've got to get those things going earlier. You can't just say, hey, our chemistry needs to be great, and there it is. It's something that, depending on your personalities, makeup of your team, the level of maturity, which we still are trying to improve, can happen at different times. And I know our best teams over the years, that obviously happens earlier in the year. We talk about when you can hand the keys up to the bus to the team, and our little joke about Coach Kerr, sometimes if you do that too early, you know where the bus is going to go, off the cliff somewhere. So, but we're at a point now where we're starting to really see some of that trust, and that's what we've been talking about all year. Do we really trust each other? And then when you trust, that's when the belief starts to come in. Our really successful teams in the past, it doesn't matter what's going on with the score, the roster, who's injured, who's not, who's in the game. You believe that you're going to win no matter what's going on. And hopefully this team is starting to do that.
Is there a reason you feel like it maybe started to pivot a little bit in the right direction last week? Is it just the wins come in, or?
Yeah, it might have been, the devastation of the Cal loss, a sense of urgency, just things that we've been pushing all year long are the same things that were costing us some games. Key, discipline to get a stop for 30 seconds. A lot of times we'll defend really great for 25, and then one guy will stop and it costs us a 3 or a layup, and that was costing us games. Like, it was carrying over, and we kept addressing those things. We kept showing them video. We kept working on them, and I think the guys finally realized if they want to turn this thing around and start getting some momentum going, they have to pay attention to those details. And here of late, they've been doing that a little bit better.
Coach, could you talk about Drew Eubanks' weekend? And,
huge,
and the rebounding at the end of the game against Washington.
Yeah, Drew was great, and we had a nice little chat before our shoot around. You and I talked about it before the Washington State game. About getting dialed in and getting back to doing the things that we know he's capable of consistently. And we challenged him at halftime of the Washington game to go out and get a bunch of rebounds the second half, and he got 12 of them in the second half. Huge defensive rebounds where you would think it looked like he was the only one on the floor. And when you have that kind of mentality about going after it, you see what happens. Guys were getting away from him, and he was just a man amongst boys on the glass and protecting the rim down the stretch for us in that game. And it's neat to see him, I think, understanding that and how that impacts the game, and it's just going to continue to, I think, feed the fire for him moving forward.
Second time through with UCLA. You beat them the first time here. It's a long time ago, but what are your thoughts about playing them on the road now and the things you did well that night you want to do again?
Yeah, they've had some big wins since then. They're playing really well at home, but they've tripped up a time or two there as well, and we've got good memories. I know we went in there and won a handful of years ago, when I was at my last school, and then 2 years ago was a big win for us to end the regular season.